House of Dragon episode 2. Before I get into it, make sure you do this one, do that one. Don't forget to leave a comment. So thankfully, the second episode picks up right where the first episode left off, dealing with the death of the prince. I'm just gonna call him the prince. Jafari, something like that. But it picks up right after the king's sons die. Good thing I want to say about the king, Aragon. The names are escaping me right now. I do like seeing a different perspective of the king. One thing I personally enjoy, I do like seeing different emotions from the king, different personalities and different motivations and just how they go about being the king. With King Viserys, I feel we got more of the peaceful king, kind king, almost like a storybook king. Him not necessarily being so quick to jump straight to war or acts of war. I can't remember his name right now, so I'm just gonna say call him the current king. I like seeing the current king be so inexperienced, so uneducated about what it takes to be the king. With Joffrey, even though he was a super asshole, he was raised to be a king. Even though he didn't use it all the time, he still had the training that it took to be a king. The current king we have now, I can't remember if he had knowledge of the history or not, but in the last episode they showcased the inexperience, the naivete. When they showed him at his beginning, he was a little bit of both when it comes to Joffrey and King Viserys. He could go either way. Now, this part of the king is more grieving. He's too angry to think. He's not clear-headed at all. After learning about the death of his son, he's more vengeful than he is strategic. Before I really get into that, I'm just loving how House of Dragon as a whole is handling the king. Not necessarily just rinsing and repeating, but doing new things and exploring different points of view or even just emotions than I feel we got in Game of Thrones. But also it's more than I thought that they were going to do in the second season. How it's going to work out, how it's going to play out, time will tell. But right now I'm enjoying that aspect from this show. And while I'm talking about the king real quick, I just want to say he kind of looks like Evan Peters, I believe that's his name. Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. Jeffrey Dahmer, if you watch that. But yeah, like I said, the king is dealing with the death of his son from the last episode. Otto Hightower, he's always been a long-term thinker, a long-term planner. Otto Hightower is trying to tell the king, his grandson? That's what I mean. I get confused by the lineages and stuff like that sometimes. His grandson died, but that can't be his son. The king can't be his son. Okay, I don't know if I'm getting it wrong or if they got it wrong. If I'm right, then that would make that would make the child who died his great-grandson. But in the show, I believe it called him his grandson.
Jaehaerys was my grandson. I loved him.
I don't know if that's a right and error or not. Otto Hightower is trying to tell the king, let's use this situation to gain the people's trust and support. King's just not listening to it at all. He's, like I said before, he's way too consumed by rage and grief to hear any of that. He's just out for blood and he wants the person who did it. He listens for a little bit until towards the end of the episode. If I had to guess anything, this episode is setting up a downfall, but I really don't know. That's a little bit later in the episode. So Otto Hightower tells everybody a funeral has to be done in Targaryen tradition. The first few minutes of the episode, I like the idea of it, but I feel like they may have rushed it a little bit. Probably the first problem I had in the episode, which is there are moments that are just blown by. One thing I did forget to mention is Otto Hightower's plan. Before they find out who the assassins were, they already pinned it on Rhaenyra. Now everybody thinks that Rhaenyra sent the assassins to kill a child. Not necessarily that Daemon hired the assassins to take out Blue Eye, Aemon Targaryen. Even that moment is done very quickly. It's almost like she knows before she even looks at him. And Rhaenyra does that twice in this episode where she stares at somebody and then she knows. One of them is the time she's remembering, so I guess I can't count that. But in this instance, it's like she knew automatically that Daemon did it. In the last episode, he told her that he would take out anybody in that clan or whatever. So now that I think about it, that part necessarily wasn't rushed, mainly because it does set up Daemon might be gone an episode or two. Hopefully that doesn't mean we're about to hit another time jump. But the one part that I do feel was rushed was, I'm just going to call it the King's Revenge. After they catch one of the assassins and he gives up Damian quicker than TJ Miller gave up Deadpool an X-Force. The show skips over the King's retaliation, and what I mean by that is all we see is one hit, and we don't even see that. It cuts soon as it makes contact. I would have liked a little bit more of that. That might be a little bit of the negative I had from this episode. It didn't ruin the episode for me, and this episode probably illustrates why Otto Hightower is my favorite character on here. Just from the way he's planning and the way that he can think things through. It almost seems like he's the only character really doing that. It's at the end of the episode when he's having that final conversation as the right hand of the king, whatever they call it. Just the look on his face. It's like his brain's already doing the math. And you can just see the look of, this is not gonna end well. And I'm working with fucking children. I liked that moment probably more than anything else that really happens in the episode. What it comes down to, you have both sides really fucking up. Daemon with a failed assassination attempt. The one before that, Aegon killing Rhaenyra's son. And now in this episode, Rhaenyra's side, Alicent Hightower's side fucking up yet again by sending yet another failed assassination attempt. So it's really a back and forth of fucking up. And I feel like Otto Hightower has the direction, but nobody's following the path. When he hears that the king and Christian Cole has sent one of the twins to assassinate the false queen, which is going to bring me to Sir Kristen Carl for a second. I don't know if you're supposed to like his character or if you're not supposed to like his character. Right now, he's reading like a villain. I'm honestly confused, but I do like that I'm confused for the show, so it's not a bad thing that I'm saying that I'm confused. I feel like he sent the twin on a dummy mission. He promised him a story of like fame and glory and stuff like that, but part of me feels like he knew that he was sending boy into his death. Him and Alicent Hightower is probably two that I'm not necessarily caring about, at least that whole love relationship shit. Because I can't help but feel like both of y'all are being fucking dumb. Talking about the twins real quick. After one of the twins sneaks in and actually makes it to Rhaenyra's bedroom, that's when his twin brother come in. They have a big fight. The assassin that was sent to kill Rhaenyra is killed, but because his brother had to be the one to kill him, guess he couldn't live with it. Maybe it was just dishonorable because he made it that far. I'm willing to say that it was just because he killed his brother, but he fell on his own sword. Probably one of the best kills in Game of Thrones or House of Dragon, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome when he falls on that sword, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. It really ends on Alicent and Cole. They do the whole, and this is something that I think needs to stop. Either stop or just do it a different way or a better way. Movies and television have this thing where when one character's mad at the other character, slap, 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 and then we have a banging scene. So I don't think that was the best way to end the episode, but even with that, I still enjoyed most of the things that went on within the episode. Daemon, one of the things I felt from the first season too, and something that I don't think they're addressing at all, I think we're just supposed to go with it. This motherfucker his brother has aged, to death, literally to death. He has not aged a day, and I would say it's because they have what I've been calling dragon blood. But Rhaenyra has it, his brother had it, their kids have it, and yet they're aging just fine. So it's one of those things where I'm like, eh. But like I said, I haven't read the books. Mainly not just to enjoy the show, but also in time it'll fade from my mind, and I can go back and read. There's a couple other characters that they're just not as interesting when it comes to everything that's going on. I'm sure it's leading up to its own thing, and I'm hoping that the payoff will be worth it. But as of right now, okay, I can't really find their names, and I'm about ready to wrap this up. So I'll just say, these two, we skipped over a lot of their shit last season. I believe one of the battles I was referencing in my season 1 review was him. One episode they were talking about getting ready for battle, and then the next episode it had been like 2 years after the battle or something like that. Like I said, maybe it'll pay off later. But as of right now, I feel like they skipped over way too much in the first season to give him a story this season with everything else that's going on. That's probably why I'm not as interested in that story right now. Hopefully that gets better as it goes. I don't want to call her the older chick. As for this one, like I said, can't remember names. I haven't seen her do shit at all. But the last episode of last season gave her this big moment, and the first season kind of dumped her back off right after that or something. or sometime, no, definitely sometime after that, but dumps her back off sometime after that, and hasn't really done much with her since. Leave off with a couple of good ones. I still have not noticed any day to night shots. The CGI holds up. The setting, the scenery. But anyway, yeah, so I'll wrap this up because it's already getting a little bit too long. I don't know if I'm gonna keep rating them. I might just talk about the episodes until I come to a concrete decision on it. I'll keep going with the rating system. I still enjoyed this one, and I can give it a 7. I can give it a 7 out of 10. Nah, I gotta be real. I can give it a 6 out of 10. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about the second episode, if I said anything at all. If not, I'll try to say more in the next one. Hit that one. Be sure you subscribed up. Be sure you like it down. I will catch y'all on the next one.
I said empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.